Today, I'm going to show you the 5 best progressions to help you learn the planche push-up. These 5 can be applied to any planche progression, whether it be a rounded tuck or progressing from straddle to full. For the first progression, you want to measure how much lean you need for your planche progression. You can record yourself from the side and eyeball it, but it's better to just do that progression against the wall and then measure the distance between your hands and the wall. Now you're just going to do pseudo planche push-ups with this much lean. This is going to be easier because you aren't pushing your entire body weight and you don't have to worry about being parallel to the ground or other form cues. Literally just squeeze everything and you'll be fine. Once these get easy, move on to floor assisted reps. You'll have the same amount of lean and you're going to have to do things like keep a parallel line at the top, and your lower body will have to act as it would in the actual progression. But again, body weight is reduced and it's easier to hold a floor assisted planche progression anyway. Step 3 is going to be slow eccentrics. Now you'll have to get into the actual progression and hold the hardest part of the planche push-up, the planche hold itself. When performing the eccentric, I'd say about 3 to 5 seconds is a good amount of time. If you can do multiple reps of 6 or more seconds, you can probably move on. Less than 2 or 3 seconds isn't really controlled and is spending more time in the bent arm planche rather than the straight arm transition. Speaking of which, that is something you can do. Get into the bent arm planche of whatever progression you're currently on, and you can use some momentum to help you get the entire rep. But if you have access to resistance bands, it's better to just use those instead. Now, once you can do these, you can move on to planche push-ups in your given progression. And then after that, before repeating this process for the next progression, you can instead try the mechanical advantage planche push-up. How this works is you start in your given planche progression, then as you lower, you're going to enter a harder progression. Pause at the bent arm planche, and then as you straighten your arms, begin tucking back into your initial planche progression. This is very scalable. It can be as easy as starting in a tuck, extending into a bent arm advanced tuck, and then reversing the motion, or you can start in a straddle, lower into a full bent arm planche, and then reverse. Now the jump isn't actually that big, as in you won't really notice the difference if you start in a straight arm tuck and then extend into a bent arm advanced tuck. It's better to work up to like 5-ish planche push-ups at your given progression, and then lower into like a full bent arm planche, or maybe a straddle, open half lay, or half lay, depending on your initial progression. When you start doing the mechanical advantage planche push-up, use elevation. That way you can start in a tuck, lower all the way down so your legs are below you, then you can just extend, hold, then reverse. As you get stronger, you can begin to extend and bend the arms at the same time, and then delay tucking your legs until once you start straightening your arms again, rather than tucking and then pushing up. You can lower your elevation to force you to extend earlier, otherwise your legs will touch the ground, but I actually don't like the floor version of the mechanical advantage planche push-up, at least for tuck variations, because you kind of have to arc your lower back to create space for your legs to extend backwards, and I just don't like that. But once your hips are in full extension, you won't have to worry about this. So like straddle to full, you can do this on the floor. It won't have any difference compared to on elevation. Once you can do planche push-ups where you start in a progression, lower into a full bent arm planche, and then reverse the motion, you can repeat this entire process for the next planche push-up progression. The hardest part is going to be at the top, and since the planche gets way easier the more you bend your arms, if you have a strong hold at the top, it won't take you that long to get the push-up. You'll likely be able to jump into eccentrics immediately, and so you don't even have to do the earlier progressions. You could just jump straight into banded planche push-ups. But if you do want to start working on your planche push-ups before you get a strong hold at the top, this is the path I would recommend.